I feel foolish for not offering my kidney to my twin brother, even after all the evil he has done to me throughout my life. He got involved with my girlfriend, got her pregnant and later revealed everything, convincing my family to disown me. My name is Ryan, and my twin brother is Sebastian. We were never close. In fact, he made my life a living hell during my childhood. My parents, far from helping, always favored Sebastian, providing him with advantages on our birthday and allowing us to watch only the films he liked in the cinema. He received extra money for household chores, even though he did the same amount of work as me. Sebastian constantly put me down, belittled me, and bullied me with his friends at school. He would break my things and then blame me. Growing up was a real pain, and the only people I trusted were my older sister Jane, my cousin Kai, and my best friend Isaac. At 17, I discovered that my first girlfriend, for whom I had deep feelings, was having an affair with my twin brother behind my back. The situation only got worse when she revealed she was pregnant. Even after a physical confrontation with Sebastian, where his nose was broken and I lost a tooth, my parents considered me to be in the wrong. Now, on top of the trauma, I have to deal with the girl's pregnancy and help support them, as my brother refuses to take responsibility. Recently, my brother told my girlfriend that he did not intend to be a father and instructed her to end the relationship. She left without a trace, and I don't know if she had the baby or ended the pregnancy. What I do know is that she is gone, and my parents continue to praise Sebastian as the golden son while I remain the black sheep and failure of the family. Even after a year, my relationship with my brother remains filled with contempt. However, I met someone special, a boy named Daniel, during my college studies. I'm bisexual, and Daniel captured my attention. We developed a solid relationship, but as I walked into the cinema hand in hand with him, I crossed paths with my evil brother. He mocked us, making prejudiced comments. After asking him to leave, I continued to enjoy the movie with my arm around my boyfriend. When I got home, I found my parents on the couch, my mother crying because of the shame of having given birth to someone so disgusting. Surprisingly, she was not referring to my brother, but to me, and how I could tarnish our family name. My father rises up in a fit of rage, uttering discriminatory comments and slurs. At that moment, I notice my brother on the stairs, wearing a smile on his face. He comes downstairs and claims to feel uncomfortable sharing a room with an F-slur. My parents then kicked me out right there, with just some clothes and some money I had. I sought refuge in Isaac's house, where his family welcomed me warmly, providing me with 6 months of family love and affection. I now consider Isaac's mother and stepfather to be my own parents. Eventually, Daniel, Isaac and I got a 2-bedroom apartment together, and everything seemed fine. Fast forward to December last year, and Daniel, now my husband, and I celebrated our wedding. Isaac was my best man, while my sister and cousin Kai walked me down the aisle. With a brilliant job in graphic design, a house by the sea and a life on the rise, I've never been better. However, I receive a disturbing phone call from my sister, informing me that my brother is in the hospital. Although I've barely thought about him in the 9 years since my expulsion, the reminder of his existence brought back painful memories. My sister claims that Sebastian wanted to see me urgently, so I went to the hospital. When I got there, I met my sister at the entrance, but she refused to tell me why. She told me to question my twin sister. When I found my brother, I saw my parents next to her, apparently happy to see me, as if what they did to me was forgotten. Sebastian also showed great pleasure in seeing me. Something clearly wasn't right. Upon asking about the situation, my brother, weaker than ever, revealed that he had been suffering from kidney failure for years and that his time was running out. I already predicted where this was going. He expressed regret that we never understood each other, but I immediately refused to donate my kidney to save him. His expression was one of surprise, and he mentioned how much he regretted all the disagreements between us growing up. I corrected him, reminding him that I just wanted a brother who cared and loved me, someone who didn't try to destroy me every day during the 18 years we lived together. He called our parents, insisting that I had to give up my kidney. However, I confronted them, questioning where this duty was when I was kicked out of the house, when my brother attacked me, or when they decided not to take responsibility for the grandson he had abandoned. I explained that it was time for the universe to reciprocate, and my way of doing so was by refusing the organ he desperately needed. So I turned my back and left the room, marking that as the last time I saw Sebastian. I don't understand why they wanted a kidney so urgently. Anyway, I ran into my sister at the hospital. She gave me a look, which I returned. It seemed like she understood my decision. Upon leaving the hospital, I felt incredibly relieved, as if a weight had been lifted from my shoulders. I returned home and decided not to look back, satisfied with the choice I had made. However, last week I received a call from my sister informing me that Sebastian, my twin brother, had passed away. She asked if I was okay, and I said yes, that I didn't feel anything at all. She understood to a certain extent, as Sebastian had not been kind to her over the years. He had my husband's support, and Isaac had practically become our adopted son by living with us. The situation changed drastically the next day. I started getting calls and messages from family members I hadn't spoken to in years, condemning me for being a bad son, a bad brother, and an F-slur. My husband and I are pursuing adoption and surrogacy, and these criticisms have begun to shake my confidence in my decision not to donate a kidney to my brother. I asked myself if I had made the right choice and if I was a bad person. Some additional information may clarify the situation. Firstly, his kidney failed due to a substance and alcohol-heavy lifestyle. Secondly, tests were carried out on my parents and my sister to see if they were compatible, but neither of them were. Third, I rejected them as my family years ago, except for Jane. When I got married, I took my husband's surname and hyphenated it with my own, which Isaac's parents were pleased with. Fourth, some family members, like Kai's parents and my father's brother, showed understanding and did not judge me for what happened, while others continued their hostile treatment. I have decided to block those who persist in negative judgment. Fifth, if my brother had been a good brother throughout my life, he would have donated his kidney without hesitation, just as he would have done for Jane, Kai, Isaac, and my husband. However, I felt he didn't deserve this gesture. Lastly, I am unlikely to see my parents again, and I will make sure my children never meet them. My revenge will be to be a better father than they ever were. Reflecting on all of this, I feel overwhelmed after so many years of no communication. The operator turns his attention to the twin in the family, perhaps thinking there was an intention to repair relationships or build something new. However, the reality was different. They only wanted the kidney. I understand that, in desperate situations, people turn to whoever is necessary, even if they don't have an affinity. What made the decision easier was the fact that the twin tried to rewrite history, suggesting that things that happened between them could be reinterpreted. The operator firmly said no, refusing to allow history to be rewritten in this way as it did not reflect the truth of his perspective. Some people have been arguing about the old saying that blood is thicker than water and how, in reality, this has a completely opposite meaning to its original meaning. There has been an observation that the expression blood is thicker than water derives from a 12th century German proverb, where the original version means exactly the opposite. The original saying stated that the blood of the alliance is thicker than the water of the womb. It is intriguing to see how, over time, this phrase completely changed its meaning, starting to mean the opposite of what it originally expressed. I can't confirm the accuracy of this story, but it's fascinating food for thought. I imagine that for many people, if a twin died from not donating an organ, they would feel a burden of guilt for a long time. However, in the case of the narrator, the circumstances were already so difficult in relation to the operation and his relationship with his family that the news of his death seemed to bring some relief. The final question that remains is what happened to the baby from the twin brothers. They are presumed to be identical twins, meaning the baby would be genetically similar to being your own child. The story leaves a gap about the fate of this baby, raising the expectation of a future revelation that never occurs. Now, regarding the situation of the narrator who refused to sleep with her brother-in-law, even though her life depended on it, it is interesting to note how this dynamic was tolerated by the family over time. The narrator, a 24-year-old woman, was confronted with inappropriate jokes from her fiancé's younger brother, Jacob, during family gatherings and events. In a moment of fatigue and drunkenness, she expressed her refusal in a firm manner, which resulted in discomfort during Jacob's birthday dinner. Her friends and some family members agreed that she did not act wrongly, but Jacob reacted with insults and insults. The narrator questions whether she was wrong in her stance. Given this scenario, it is possible to perceive the complexity and tensions present in family dynamics, where certain behaviors were tolerated for a long time until the narrator decided to impose herself. The situation not only reveals the need for respect and limits, but also questions why the family allowed this behavior to persist for so long. The situation triggered by the narrator's refusal to give in to Jacob's inappropriate advances raised questions about the role of the family in the face of inappropriate behavior and the need to impose limits. Still, Jacob's attitude after the denial reveals significant disrespect and a lack of understanding regarding personal boundaries. The next day, the narrator is faced with a barrage of insulting messages from Jacob, labeling her in a disrespectful way. This exacerbated reaction, instead of generating self-reflection, highlights the complexity of family dynamics and the difficulty in dealing with delicate issues. After all, how could anyone expect the narrator to give in to unwanted advances, even in front of a familiar audience? It is intriguing to see how, over time, events such as birthdays, family gatherings and holidays were marked by Jacob's jokes and insinuations, without anyone intervening to correct this inappropriate conduct. The family's silence in the face of these situations raises the question of the extent to which certain behaviors were tolerated, contributing to the uncomfortable atmosphere at the birthday dinner. However, the narrator, by making the decision not to give in, challenges this tacit norm of passive acceptance and highlights the need for respect and self-determination in any relationship. Facing the situation may have caused momentary discomfort, but it also signals an attempt to redefine boundaries and promote a healthier environment. As the narrator considers her stance, it becomes clear that she is not the idiot in the story. On the contrary, she showed courage by refusing to allow her integrity to be disrespected, even in front of her family. Her questioning about the adequacy of her decision reveals a search for validation in the midst of a family environment that, until then, has demonstrated excessive tolerance for inappropriate behavior. In the end, the narrator finds herself faced with a situation that goes beyond Jacob's inconvenient jokes. She is facing fundamental questions of respect, autonomy and, most importantly, redefining boundaries in family relationships. The story continues to unfold, challenging not only the narrator, but also the very essence of the family dynamic that, for a long time, tolerated the intolerable. It's somewhat difficult to conceive that no one stopped this situation for so long, reaching the point where she had to find liquid courage to reach her limit and express something that, although not that intense, was simply a fact. This little push is getting her to the point where she's so upset about the situation, being the true definition of someone who screws up but can't stand it. However, she did it defensively in reaction to what he is saying, something that wasn't happening, provoking her. If you were in this situation and your brother was uttering such comments about your wife, how would you handle it? Let me know, idiot or not, and why I'm an idiot for not carrying on my family tradition. I am an 18-year-old woman and my family has a tradition that spans 5 generations. The firstborn in the family joins the military, in the 4 main branches. My mother served in the army, retiring as a major, my grandfather in the Air Force, retiring as a colonel, my great-grandfather in the Navy, and my great-great-grandfather and 3 ex-great-grandfather were also Marines. My family is very proud of this tradition and has used it against me since I was born. With the end of the school year approaching and me turning 18 last month, my mom has been pushing me to take fitness courses and buy textbooks to help me study for the ASVAB. Although I resisted it for a while, my younger brother's death a few years ago deeply impacted my parents, so I'm moving forward until now. Last week, I overheard my mom talking on the phone with a recruiter about my options for possibly becoming an officer. Finally, I realized I told my mom she wasn't interested. This resulted in a huge fight where I basically stated that she was wasting her time. She called me a disappointment, but I believe I have the right to decide whether or not I want to join the military. Am I stupid for not following my family tradition? My brother's death a few years ago is a tragedy, but it should not be used as a tool of coercion to make me do what my parents want, especially in such a crucial decision so early in my adult life. There are family traditions that don't require you to change the entire trajectory of your life, and that's what this one is doing. Being sent into the military will completely change everything, and there are many people who would thrive and love this early adulthood. However, the operation is clearly not one of them. The real options are to do something against your will, be stuck with it forever, or be clear from the beginning, as the operation started, saying that you are not interested and that you want to follow another path. If you end up being unhappy later in life because of something like this, no one else can save you or undo it. If you were in this situation, how would you deal with it? Would it be stupid or not, and why am I stupid for not following my family tradition? So I was appointed administrator of his estate. I have my own house and am financially independent. We had 2 children together, and in late summer last year, I discovered that his parents were the beneficiaries, receiving a considerable amount since his death. They expressed a desire to buy the house. I have been waiting for the transaction to close since August. Since then, I have been paying the mortgage on this house. In February, I let them know that I was tired of taking on 2 mortgages and needed them to make the purchase. However, they have procrastinated ever since, claiming that it is in the hands of their lawyers and that they have no control over the process. My lawyer has not received any formal offers from them, other than their lawyer's statement that they were interested, mentioned last week. Recently, an interested buyer approached us offering a significant price for the house. I alerted them to this offer in hopes of speeding up the process, but they downplayed the situation and told me I needed to be patient and wait. It's been a full year, during which I took over paying the mortgage on his house and took care of our children while they enjoyed vacations, went shopping, and paid off their debts with life insurance money. Am I stupid for considering an offer from someone who isn't family? I am selling my late husband's house the right way. How can you expect someone, regardless of their financial stability, to take out a second mortgage on a house that isn't even occupied? Maybe she would have agreed to rent it if she'd known it would be a whole year without a formal offer from them. It's not possible to predict such a situation, but looking back, she probably could have set a condition, reserved the right to buy it at that price, as long as they paid the mortgage until the purchase was completed. Paying off 1 mortgage is challenging enough, and taking on 2 can be overwhelming. It's money wasted on an empty house, waiting to be bought. In other words, they wanted to handle the situation according to their convenience, at the expense of my peace of mind, and that is unacceptable. If you were in this situation, how would you have handled it? Would it be stupid or not? Why? When you subscribe, be sure to hit the bell to receive notifications and hear every story in this series. Use the playlist at the top of the description. In today's video on the StoryTime channel, we explore an emotional story about the sale of her late husband's home and the challenges faced by managing the property. Between ups and downs, she finds herself facing a crucial decision. Is she the idiot for considering an outside offer? If you like this engaging story and want more intriguing content, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, leave a like and activate the notification bell so you don't miss any exciting episode. Take the opportunity to check out the playlist at the top of the description. Until the next episode, StoryTime.